Hello, everybody. Welcome to Also Rusty Buckets. I've been rewatching Breaking Bad recently, and I just have a question. Why does everybody give shit to Skylar White when Marie Schrader is like right there? Like, if there's any woman to be misogynistic to in this show, she's right there. She's so much worse. Anyway, something else happened today, and that was that the Milwaukee Bucks ended up going to the NBA Finals. So, you know, Marie Schrader discourse, Bucks finals, I don't know. What's the point of this channel? Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. Yeah, that's about it. I'm trying to hit 100K on this channel by the end of the year, so I'd much appreciate your subscription, especially if you're already watching my main channel. Anyway, so Game 6, Bucks versus Hawks just went down, and it was, once again, a relatively good game. It was probably a little bit better of a game than it should have been on the Bucks' part for how they nearly collapsed in the fourth quarter, but overall it was a solid enough game. Not so similar to the last game, Game 5, where the Bucks won once again, of course. Both of these teams without their best player. Trae Young did play Game 6, however, he was on a minutes restriction, although he actually ended up playing 35 minutes, so I guess it wasn't that big, but he also didn't play well, so at least scoring-wise, he didn't play well. He was pretty good passing, but yeah, he did not play well. He wasn't really getting his floater comfortably, probably something to do with the injury, so yeah, still not, I don't know that Trae Young was really that much of a positive for the Hawks in this one, so we'll just say, like, basically without their star, but last game it ended up being Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis, who stepped up. Meanwhile, Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday played great games still. This time around, Bobby Portis was okay. He didn't stand out. And Brook Lopez was okay, and he didn't really stand out. Not as much opportunity at the basket for him in this one, whether it was from lack of looking for him or just better defense. I'd say there was better interior defense on the Hawks' part in this one. A little bit more, I think there was a little bit more Okongwu. Actually, it's about the same as last game, so I don't know. They did go to some small ball lineups as well, which definitely is a little bit counterintuitive to trying to protect the basket, but that's what ended up happening. Something that stands... So first of all, the reason this game ended up being kind of blown wide open in the third quarter was Chris Middleton. There was like 2 minutes left in the quarter when it said that he had 23 in the quarter, so I don't know if he just finished with that or not, but it was just like that game versus the Nets, and I think another game in this series where he just flipped a switch and couldn't miss. I don't know what it is that he just kind of has that happen sometimes. It's happened 3 times now in the playoffs, I believe, twice in this series. I'm pretty sure it happened another time in this series, unless I'm imagining that. But he just figured it out. He flipped a switch, and then he was just awesome and unconscious and hitting a bunch of contested jumpers. He hit a left-hand floater and one, a couple of three-pointers, all the typical Chris Middleton stuff. He just completely caught fire in the third quarter. He only had 5 points up until that quarter, so just completely turned it on, and that's really what gave them a rather large lead. Another thing worth mentioning in this game is Jeff Teague wasn't terrible. I'm as surprised as you are. I've been bitching about the Jeff Teague minutes ever since the playoffs have started. The fact that he was getting minutes at all that weren't in garbage time. But 3 for 3 from outside, and he gets fouled and goes to the line, gets 2 free throws out of that. So, all right, good job, Jeff Teague. I guess I wasn't expecting to be giving Jeff Teague any praise, but he didn't play terrible today. If he could just hit his spot up threes and not dribble, he could be a total not. He could not be a total zero, which he wasn't today. But the reason this game ended up not being a blowout as it should have been after the third quarter is I think it was either late third quarter it started or early fourth. Cam Reddish came into the game and he caught on fire. Now he was playing a little bit before, but like he pretty much played the entire fourth quarter because he could not miss from outside. He had a possession, or I guess back-to-back possessions where he hit threes. I mean, it's not anything complex. It was pretty much just catch and shoot threes, some of them more contested than others, but 6 for 7 from outside. I believe he had a layup as well. Am I thinking of something else? I don't know. But he just caught fire, and that's really what propelled the Hawks back into this one. And there was some sloppy play on the Bucks part of this late in the game. They ended up getting some stupid turnovers. Chris Middleton got caught on the baseline through that, and that ended up being a Capella dunk. I think it was a pass from Holiday to Middleton that was over aggressive on Holiday's part, and then Middleton couldn't corral it, and then Trae Young ended up getting it. It was just some dumb turnovers that resulted in some easy fast break buckets, and that was not helpful for what they wanted. Dump off, I think after the Trae steal, there was a dump off pass to Collins for a layup. They definitely almost fumbled that one at the end, but they came down. Drew Holiday got a really, really nice up and under layup. Also later on, he missed a layup but got the offensive rebound, and then got to PJ Tucker, who had been missing corner threes the whole fucking game. 0 for 6 to that point, but the three that mattered the most, it dropped, and that was pretty much the dagger. So that was that game. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Trae Young, as I mentioned, did play, but he didn't do particularly good. Kevin Huerter, I think he had a rough shooting game in Game 5. He had another one again today. Bogdanovic was pretty good. He had a big three late. Obviously didn't end up mattering, but he did hit a big three. But yeah, Cam Reddish is really the only guy who really stood out on the Hawks side of things. It was mostly just like either a bad performance or pretty solid. Also, Drew Holiday played pretty fucking well as well, especially early on in the game. The start of the game, it was a lot of Drew Holiday, and then it ended up being a more team effort as time progressed. But that's that game. Like I said, nothing too crazy. But what I do want to talk about now is like briefly a little bit what's next for both of these teams. Actually, I'm not really going to talk much at all. I'm not going to talk to too many extremes on either end of this. I just want to say in terms of like this series and like an overall look at it, the Hawks and Hawks fans should not be disappointed at the end of this. They already shouldn't have been. I'm not going to say shouldn't have been. They already weren't expected to go this far to begin with. So the fact that they got this far already, you should be pretty happy with that. Second of all, injury affected this series. Like, I know people will be like, well, Giannis was also out, but at the same time, both teams not healthy. The Bucks won both times, so I'm not sure. Granted, the Hawks in Game 4 without Trae, it was Game 4, right? Yeah, it was Game 4. They were looking like they were going to win before Giannis got hurt, so I don't know. Injury kind of muddied things. I think the Hawks were on their way to making this a bit more of a series than it ended up being before Trae Young ended up getting hurt. But ultimately, they got further than they were expected to. They got 2 games off of a team that is going to go to the finals. Like, I had high expectations for the Hawks. I actually had an old tweet that resurfaced where I was like, oh shit. Usually when people bring up my old tweets, it's because I said something stupid, but I actually said something smart. I don't even remember fucking saying it. But apparently I tweeted the Hawks were good enough to make the conference finals. I don't know why I thought that, but apparently I did. I remember being very high on this Hawks team going into the playoffs, or going into this season rather, and being disappointed early because they were pretty disappointing early. That coaching change from Nate McMillan ended up making a world of difference, and I definitely thought they were a good team, but I didn't expect them to go this far, and really most people didn't expect them to go this far. Pretty much unanimously, people had the Sixers beating the Hawks in the second round, even if after the Knicks series, people were a little bit taking the Hawks more seriously. But most people picked the Knicks to win the first round series. Most people picked the Sixers to win that series, and most people picked the Bucks to destroy the Hawks in the conference finals. And all 3 times, people were wrong. And being that you have a lot of young guys on this team, some vets, obviously. Bogdanovic is like 28, so it's not like he's young. Clint Capella is really good. You do have to worry about signing John Collins back, but Clint Capella is pretty good and young. But also at the same time, Onyeka Okongwu broke out in this series in moments. So even if you did lose Capella, like, you could be good, even though he's on term. I think he has like 2 years left on his contract. Cam Reddish just had a breakout game, and this is like the best Cam Reddish game I've ever seen. He's had good performances before, but generally his career has been real disappointing. But then he comes out in an elimination game of the conference finals and nearly gets his team a win, or at least propels them in that direction. I think I'd be drastically encouraged by that. Ultimately, there's not much to do besides for run it back. You get some more internal development. Maybe you can try and get another star next to Trae Young. Young, but I'd be careful not to mess with the thing you've got going right now too much. But ultimately, like, the Hawks are in the position where next year we can look at them and be like, don't underestimate this team because they can do shit. Like, going into my conference finals prediction for Bucks versus Hawks, did I actually do a video on that? I don't think I did. Did I do a video on that? I don't think I did. Yeah, I think that's the one that I ended up having to skip. But I know that my opinion was, I'm not actually going to bet on the Hawks to get destroyed because they've proven me wrong to this point. So ultimately, Hawks fans shouldn't be too disappointed. Of course, it'd be cool to go to the finals. It'd be cool to win a championship. But I feel like if you're reasonable and you didn't get too high above what your team really was capable of doing, then you should ultimately be happy. The Bucks, they're finally in the fucking finals after the last 2 years being drastically disappointing. Still want Mike Budenholzer gone, is what it is, but even if they did win the championship, I still don't like Mike Budenholzer, but he has been better. But ultimately, this is your opportunity to win a championship, especially because it's looking like Giannis is going to be back for the series at the very least by like game 3. So that will definitely be big. I do think they win this series, I guess. It's going to ultimately depend on how injured Giannis is, how much it affects him on the floor, but like that's my early prediction. Still watch my finals prediction video, please. But that's my early prediction is the Bucks win, but I don't know. I think this is a pretty even matchup. And this is actually the finals matchup that I wanted. I mean, I was rooting for the Nuggets more so than the Suns, because the Nuggets are my second favorite team in the league. But at the same time, I also knew that a healthy Phoenix Suns team would be more entertaining than the Nuggets without Murray in the finals. So in terms of just pure entertainment and teams that I enjoy, like Suns-Bucks is pretty much the perfect matchup to me. So I'm glad that ended up being what happened. If you're a Bucks fan, celebrate, but also you got to execute in the finals. I'm glad to see this team go this far. I look forward to seeing Giannis in the finals. I'm glad that he wasn't out for the fucking season because that would have been a goddamn bummer. But yeah, that's all. That's my thoughts. Kind of rambly as all of these are. But yeah, that's it. Goodbye.